So, welcome to CHRISTIANSBORG Castle. You mostly hear Osu Castle rather than CHRISTIANSBORG. So, this was originally built by the Danes in 1661. They first came in 1659, where they purchased the land from the chief of Osu called Akwamu. Then they named, when they came, they occupied the place 1661. It was just a small fort, and they named the place Fort CHRISTIANSBORG. CHRISTIANSBORG means Christian stone, named after King Christian IV of Denmark. So, as I said earlier, we had everything wasn't built at once. As in when they needed more spaces, then additional ones were added. So that is how come, I was saying 1661, at the entrance we have 1790. That was when the entrance was made. By then it was King Christian VII that was ruling. So we have C7, that's the cipher of King Christian VII. But before the Danes came in, we had other people also here, which were the Portuguese and then the Swedish. They built a small earthen lodge where they were keeping their goods in there. And then the Danes came, 1659. They used stones to build, so theirs were durable. So how did the Danes come here? We had the Portuguese. They arrived here 1471. Later on, when they built the Elmina Castle 1482, they became stronger there. That was when they came here. So they followed the gold trade between North Africa and then West Africa. That was when they arrived here. So later on, though the Danes built it, we had other people, we had other people occupying here, like the British. Later on, we had the Akwamus also here. 1693, we had the Akwamus here. They conquered the Danes, stayed here for a whole year. We also had the Portuguese here. They built a chapel. So in there, we'll see the main courtyard, what is the slave markets. We also have a water system. They constructed it for storing rainwater for their domestic use. We have the Queen's room there. When we became a Republican country, she was supposed to come hand over authority to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. She couldn't come in 1960. She came in 1961. So when she came, we have a room there she slept in. We also have the chapel built by the Portuguese, 1679. We have Rawlins's office also there. We have the presidential staircase and then other places as well. So as we move further, you can ask your questions. You're allowed to take pictures also.
Okay, so does it mean that, this place was purposely built for slave trade?
Okay, so the slave trade started 17th century. When they started, it was just commodities. Okay. But when they needed people to work on their plantation during in the Americas and then the Caribbean, that was when the slave trade started.
Okay.
Yeah. So they get the slaves from war captives, sometimes pawning. For instance, I'm owing you, I use a human being as collateral. When I'm not able to pay, then we sell the humans off.
So those times were the chiefs also?
Yes, so they were also involved.
Okay.
So more like the middlemen.
Okay.
Yeah. So where we are standing, this is the main courtyard. This is where the slave market takes place. Okay. So most of the slaves that were kept here are from different parts, not only Ghana. So we have other African countries. They walk all the way here. By the time they get here, they are worn out, become tired and stressed. So they line them up here, strip them naked to inspect them, to see if they are either infected or not. After the inspection and everything, they do branding. Each and every slave merchant have their own symbol. They put it in hot fire, place it against their skin for easy identification. So that when I pick this, I know you belong to this slave merchant, and so on and so forth. Okay. Aside the human beings being here, we have other commodities also. We bring the minerals like the gold, ivory. They bring more refined goods like textiles, gun and gunpowder, glasses, and then all that. So these humans were also referred to as commodities. So they can exchange them for any of this. So more like an auction take place here. So aside the inspection and everything, they have a place they keep them in. So this place, they constructed it for three main reasons: accommodation, marketplace, and storage facility. So after the inspection, they keep them in the dungeons. The dungeon can also serve as a storage facility. But when the slaves are in there, it's called the dungeon. So we'll visit one for you to have a look.
Okay, so before you move on, you say they bring other slaves from different countries. I can see Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast.
So this one is just an office here. This used to be the government house until 2013 when we started using the Jubilee House. So we still have offices within here as well.
Okay. So why did they have these countries, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and
so ECOWAS country, yeah.
Okay.
So the office is even at the top there.
Okay.
Can I? This is one of the dungeons. Their dungeons always come with the inner and then outer. So 60 in here, 60 in here. 60, yes, 60.
People.
Yes, in here.
This small place.
Yes. So they are always crowded together, no space, no air. door was always closed. As you can see, during the daytime, it's even dark. So you can imagine how they were feeling. They keep them in here. Once you get here, there's no going out until the ships arrive. So maximum of 6 months, you can be in here waiting for the ship's arrival. So their only source of ventilation and light was through the hole we have at the top there. So they do their everything in here, attend to their nature's call. When you vomit, your blood stains, you stay in it. So when it rains, it comes directly from there to wash all this away. Then where I'm standing, this is the latrine. When you want to poop, this is where you do it. So attend your nature's call here. But due to the crowded nature and you being in chains, you're at the corner, you can't get to here, meaning you do it and sit in it. So most of them lost their lives to this, as due to the conditions in which they were being kept.
But this one, is it a hole or just normal?
Yes, so it was like a hole. Since this was government house, they had to do something about it a little bit.
And were they mixed with women or only men?
So they separate the males from the females. They don't mix them. So we have another of like about 12 dungeons in here. So they can decide to keep all males here. Other dungeons keep females in there.
Okay.
It's behind the staircase and everything.
Okay.
So this is another dungeon, also inner and then outer as well. So this were initially not there, the shelves you see here, because they were using it as a storage room. Whilst we had other officials also working here, so they were keeping their goods in here. That's how come we have this.
So this one
wasn't here at first.
Okay, but how did they go? Or they
just fix it to keep their things in there.
Okay, so they fix these shelves in here, or
yes.
They fix it outside the brought in?
I'm not sure, but here it's not part of the tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and this place is also
a dungeon.
Can we go into?
Yes, you can.
Wow.
Don't use it. So this is also another dungeon.
So this place also keep 60 people.
Yes, 60.
Wow.
So unlike the other one, we saw the whole other top. This one has nothing like that. They brought a lot of barrels of whiskey, schnapps, and all. So
the white people.
Yes, they used it to store water, but they realized there wasn't enough. That was when they constructed this. When they came.
So this one is
water system for storing rainwater. They have holes connecting, so when it rains, it comes directly in there for their domestic use. So this was the very first one they constructed. So we are going to see another one in the middle there.
Okay.
So this was also another water system. This was constructed by a Danish governor called Carl Engman.
Okay.
Please don't come in. So this was also another water system, constructed in 1753 by a Danish governor called Carl Engman. Do you know anyone called Engman?
No.
So we still have names like Engman in our society till date. So he married a Ghanaian, so they all trace their descendants to him. So this is written in the Danish language. This was constructed 1753 during his time. He was a Danish governor from 1752 to 1757. So this is showing it was constructed. They started March 1753 and finished May of the same year. So this is an archaic writing, Danish language also. So when this used to be the city of government, this served as a presidential staircase. Middle one, mainly for presidents and governors. Other officials from different countries are also allowed to use the middle one.
Okay.
We use the side one. So when you look at 50 Ghana cedi note, you see the staircase and the front view of the castle. This used to be our highest money, and this was the seat of government. Now we have 200 cedi notes. You can see the view of the Jubilee House, which is the current seat of government, on there. So maybe later on when you get to verify.
Okay.
So the staircase and the front view of the castle.
So the middle is normally used by
for
the
officials,
president.
yes. So on top we have the Ghana coat of arms. You can find it on most of our government buildings. So more like the badge of the nation. So we have the eagles. It was designed by a man called Nia Munkote. The eagles are known to be protecting the nation, cross staff, local administration, castle, national democracy, cocoa, tree, agricultural resources, mine shafts, mineral resources. The line in the middle means Ghana is still part of Commonwealth of Nations. We have our motto, freedom and justice. The Black Star, we were the first sub-Saharan West African country to have gained independence. So as a hope for other countries as well. So they started gaining theirs 1960 onwards. So we'll be moving to the top to continue.
Yes. I thought this is metal.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it's metal.
I said earlier we had past presidents living here. So this served as the first family residence. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Jerry John Rawlings at Samuels. This was their accommodation. They are still in use, but as presidential offices now. It's restricted, so we can't enter. Talking about. So it's just their sign to show people that they are here. That is why they're there. So we call here the Queen's Room. We gained our independence 6th of March 1957, became a Republican country 1st of July 1960. Queen Elizabeth, who is late now, was supposed to come hand over authority to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our very first president. She couldn't come in 1960, she came in 1961. So that is how come we have a video of her dancing with Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. That was when she was in Ghana. So 1961, she came and used this room. She couldn't come in 1960. So the bed, the wardrobe and everything, except the tiles that we have changed here. Okay. So at first it was wood. 1977, we also had King Charles, her son, coming here to use during Achimot's 50th school anniversary.
Use the same place.
The same place, the same bed. So mother and son have occupied this room, except them, no one has occupied here. So only the two.
They use the same bed with the mattress. Yeah. Okay.
So this balcony.
The question is, why did they paint it white?
So for visibility, most of the castles here for visibility sake. Yeah. So you can have a set. So you remember, You remember me telling you we had other people here, though the Danes built it. So 1679, the Portuguese had the chance to be here when the Danish governor was killed by his assistant. So after killing him, he sold the place to the Portuguese for £36. They came, raised the walls high and built this chapel. The chapel is on top of one of the dungeons. So whilst they pray here, you have slaves down fighting for their lives. When the Portuguese acquired the place, they changed the name from Christiansborg to St. Francis Xavier Castle. The chapel also bearing the same name. So they were here shortly. 1679, 1683, the Danes came back to repossess the place. 1683, when the Danes took over, they mortgaged the place to the British. 1689, they redeemed it from them. They came trading, they resumed their trading duties. They were here uninterrupted until 1693, when this Ghanaian man came from Akwamu. The Akwamus were the warlords in these coastal areas back in the day. They noticed that people come in the castle, they don't go out, the place is also not becoming full. That was when he came. You know that Akans inherit from their maternal side. His uncle was a king, and then he was a prince. His name is Asameni. So he came in as a spy working for the Danes, as a cook. He studied them for a while. When it was time to attack, he had a lot of information by then. He left to his town, came with 18 military men, who then disguised themselves as traders to buy guns from the Danes. So back in the day, when you buy ammunition, you are made to test it first before you take it with you. So known to the Danes, these people were having hidden gunpowder. So the same guns they bought, they used it on them, making him become the first black governor of Christiansborg. So 1693 to 1694, he was here. He continued trading and everything. He lived lavishly. Wherever he's going, there was gun salute to show that he is in power now. He became the first black governor of Christiansborg. Though he took it for free, after a year, the Danes came back to repossess the place. That was when they started negotiating with him to pay. Though he took it for free, they had to pay him 50 marks of gold for it. He returned the castle to them all right, but he never gave them the original keys of the castle. So as we speak now, it's an Akwamu Fiye, it's part of the royal possession. So more like people go there to book, to have a look at the keys. So when they came, they had to change the locks and everything. Unfortunately, when he came, Asameni never freed the captives. He also continued trading. He collected taxes from the people and everything.
So he was also involved in the slave trade.
Yes.
Wow.
So when he handed the place to the Danes, he handed it together with the captives and everything. So he also continued the slave trade and all. This was also where the Presbyterian Church of Ghana started. So the Danes abolished slavery 1803. They abolished it. That was when they started renting out spaces for people to use. That was when the Basel missionaries came from Switzerland 1828 to use this place. Unfortunately, 3 of them died of malaria, only one survived, the first 4 missionaries that came. He started looking for a more suitable place, which is the mountainous areas here. So when you go to Mount Point, you have a lot of Presbyterian schools and churches over there. as a result of that. So this was also a place they officiated the marriages between they themselves and then the African women here. Their children who are of mixed race, we call them the mulattoes. This was also a school for them, so they were teaching them here. Atta Mills, our last president to have lived here, this was where he liked fellowship. Hence the drums we have at the back there. The safe at the back, mainly for communion wine and bread, that was where they were keeping theirs.
Okay, so my question is, those who fellowship here, is it only the white or the blacks are?
So mixed. Okay. So mainly the white. It was ordained by an African priest. So it was an African priest that was leading the fellowship.
Okay.
Yes.
So which church came here first? Is it Catholic Church or the Presby? Catholic.
Yes.
Okay, before the Presby.
Yes, before the Presbyterian Church. So 2017, we had our current president, Nana Addo Dankwa, announcing part of the castle will be turned to a presidential museum, where to talk about past presidents and then current ones as well. So it's not yet in motion, maybe later on. But we have our very first prime minister and first president, Dr. Akwamu Nkrumah. Yeah. So this castle was open to the public only 2017. And then COVID closed down. We just resumed about 6 weeks ago. So we are heading to Rollins' office at the governor's stand to select their ladies down there. And they use the same water, rainwater, to bath them, take them to their quarters to do what they want to do with them as well. Everything wasn't built at once. So when the British occupied here, I'll tell you when and how. But when they came, they added 1921. They have their crown on it. That's GR. We have 1950 over there.
Okay.
We also have MCM XIR, that's 1912, all added by the British. The Danes also added 1797, 1721 over there. So each of them have their crest on it as well. This part of the office was added in 1921 by the British governor, Sir Gordon Gorgesbeck. So he first used it. Later on, the last British governor to have stayed here was Lord Lissowo. He also used here. Then finally, our very own Ghanaian president, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, decided to use here for security reasons. So he was a military ruler, overtook Hilary Liman, a civilian ruler, then took over from him. 1981, this was his office. When Dr. Nkrumah came, the new offices we have over there, we refer to that place as a new castle. And this is the old castle. So all the other presidents that were here were using those offices. But JJ decided to use here. This is one of the most secure locations you get here in the castle. Whilst he was here, whatever happens right from the first gate, he's able to notice. So more like security reasons, he chose this place. So any car coming, any car going, he's able to notice. In the garden, we have cemented portions serving as helipad. So a helicopter will be there. When there is danger, he flies out to Bemakam.
Okay.
Yes. So he was able to escape about 4 coup d'etats whilst he was here. So 1981 to 1992 was when he ended his military ruling of 11 years. Then 1992 to 2000 as a democratic leader, serving 2 terms. So 19 years in total. Throughout the years, this was his office. Throughout the 19 years. Currently, we are heading to a place we mostly term as Door of No Return. Okay. Where when the ships are ready, they come for the slaves from the dungeons, march them to those parts. So once you go out of here, that will be the last time you get in touch with the African soil. Okay. So please take a look at these canal holes. We'll come to why they are there. So there's fish ponds.
Fish pond, built by them.
No, next time. So this is the staircase leading to the Door of No Return. They made it this way so they can count the number of slaves going down. So one at a time, 2 people cannot go because they're always in chains. Then they go one after the other. Down we'll see a tunnel called the Richter Tunnel. He was a Danish slave merchant, built his home where he had dungeons and then kept slaves in there. Built an underground dungeon. So different dungeons leading it to the Door of No Return. So that when the ships are ready, he matches them from his home, the dungeons in his home, and then pass them here to link them, to ship them to other places as well. So please let's go down to have a look at it. This is the Richter Tunnel I was talking about. So his was different from the one that was going on in there. This was supposed to take you to his home by the roadside where he kept the slaves in there. So this is just a passageway, an underground tunnel. But during the British time, 1862, there was an earthquake here and broke that part down. So it's no more leading to his home. But back in the day, this was supposed to take you to his home. So he marches them through his home, through here, to the Door of No Return, where they ship them off. So sometimes when there's delay in the ship's arrival, they rest here for a while. Then when the ships arrive, they match them. So we are now going to the door of no return. So this is the door of no return. Once the slaves get here, we have smaller ships waiting for them, bigger ones in the middle, that they use the smaller ones to transport them in there. Most of the slaves that were kept here were from the inland, a place where they've not come across sea before. So once they get here, they become scared because they don't know where they're taking them to. And you can't try to escape as you're in chains, and you can't swim as well. So some slave owners, they try to overload the ships. They load twice the number. So you're supposed to load 200, you load 300 or 400. Along the way, middle passage, there is an inspection where after counting the excess, they dump them into the sea alive. They can't bring them back in here anymore. So we had a case called the Zong Massacre. A British ship leaving Ghana 1781, taking these slaves to Jamaica. Along the way, there was shortage of water. More than 130 humans had to be dumped into the sea alive. So they keep doing that till they get to their destination. There was a court case about it, where the ship's owners decided to go to court to claim insurance for these slave ships, because as the number of slaves you take there will be the amounts that you receive. So they wanted insurance for it. They lost the case, 1783, they lost the case all right. So it made people aware of the transatlantic slave trade. People were ignorant of it back in the day. So 1619 was when the first slave ship left Africa to America. So that was when 1619 to 2019 is 400 years. You've heard about the year of return. Yeah. Yes. So that is how come the Ghana government initiated this for those that survived, the Black Americans, the diasporans, for them to return here, establish themselves, know their roots and everything. So most of them have lost identities. That is how come we have this. 2020, we also had a similar thing called Beyond the Year of Return, where this will be held every decade as well. So this is the door of no return. Since we'll be returning, we have the door of return behind us. So we'll be going there right first. So theirs was a Osu Castle. Then the Cape Coast was for the British, and then this one was for the Danes as well. Okay. So this, where we are standing, is a beautiful garden, but it comes with a sad history. So this was the original home of the Osu Alata people. Before their king, 1659, sold the land to the Danes for 3,200 gold florins. So they were here, and then the people were also here, Osu Alata people. We Ghanaians here, we call Nigerians Alata. When you go to the Igbo tribe, the Osu means outcast. So we believe those people migrated to settle over here. So this was their home, going about their uses and everything. The Danes were also here. 1803, the Danes abolished slavery. I wouldn't say entirely, because the rest of the slaves that remained behind were used on a plantation of tamarind. They started at this side of the garden. We still have 2 of the trees still there. So they were planting tamarind trees. Not only here, also Salem, Legon Botanical Gardens and all. It's spread across those parts. But unfortunately, it wasn't successful. So 1850, that was when they decided to sell the place to the British for £10,000. So it was the British that established the garden we have here. But before that, you remember I told you the Osu Alata were here. So before that, when they came, the British were expecting these people to pay taxes to them. So it brought confusion.
Well, the British were expecting the Osu Alata people to pay taxes to them. Okay.
So they refused. It brought confusion among them and all. 1854, there was a bombardment of Osu people. So the cannon holes, I told you to take a look at it. They had to fire, destroy their homes and everything. Those that survived picked themselves up farther away from here to build their community again. But this was their home. So during their festival, there's a shrine in here. Whether the president used to live here or not, they allowed entry to pour libation to their ancestors during Homowo festival, every August of every year. So the shrine is down there. The very first tree to have been planted here was a neem tree, 1894, by the British. Most of the trees, the herbs you see here, were all imported. So the neem tree is from India. The Europeans introduced it from India to African countries at large. So you can find it due to colonization. It's spread across everywhere.
Most of the neem tree we have in Ghana.
Yes, so that is how come we have the neem tree. The neem tree is originally from India. So they introduced it from India to us over here. So it's more like an immune booster for us. Use it to cure illnesses like malaria, common cold, fever. During COVID, most people used it in our homes as well. So please, let's take a walk through the garden. I'll show you where the neem tree is and then the shrine of the Osu Alata people also. So
the Osu Alata people, those are at Jamestown.
So they spread here. So they are all Osu people. though.
Okay.
But we have Osu Alata, Osu Kinkanwe. We also have Anaho, but they are all Osu people.
Okay.
So each and every one of them, they are tribe as well.
Okay.
The green boundary, the archaeological works go on there. So when they find artifacts, they take it to the National Museum of Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a neem tree at the far end, and then the wise building is a shrine.
Okay.
So you see most hair products, you see neem oil. They get the neem oil from the fruits of this neem tree. Yeah. Everything. Currently, people are allowed to use this space for their events, other weddings, birthday ceremonies, whatever. When you pay, you'll be allowed to use this space for your events. So the car over there at the end,
Okay.
that was for JJ. So during his stay here, this was a presidential car. So we used to have a lot of presidential cars here, but the rest are the National Museum. So we have a presidential car park over there. So his is the only one there now. So where we are heading to was where the Danes started their plantation.
So before this place was the Ga Alata people, they were the one staying here.
Yes, they were here.
Okay, so they build their houses or
it's just a thatch house.
Okay.
When you go to the northern part, you know how they build their house. Yes, more like a thatch. They have their thatch houses over here.
okay.
Yeah. So Osu Alata people, the shrine is only for them.